Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Love Talks. I'm here tonight with my guest, Dr. Rachel Eppinga, and we're going to be discussing your body-love connection. We've already been jamming a little bit, and we have lots of wonderful things to share with you. I just want to remind anyone or let anyone know that this is your first Love Talk that you're listening to. This is something that I do monthly. It's like my public love service announcement, if you will, where I speak with industry experts with the sole goal of helping you to awaken, expand, and empower you in your love life. Tonight, as I said, I'm speaking with my guest, Dr. Rachel Eppinga, Naturopathic Physician, Acupuncturist, Integrative Life and Wellness Coach. Rachel has a wealth of knowledge. For 16 years, she's been helping people transform their health and lives through personalized lifestyle medicine and conscious conversations. And that's exactly what we're going to be having tonight, is a conscious conversation. Rachel, thank you so much for being here. What I'd love for you to do, for everyone to get to know you a little as we dive into our conversation this evening, is to share with everyone, like, what called you to do this work? What's your big why behind the work that you do, and a little bit of what your journey's been like?
Okay, well, I'm sure all of your guests say that it's a very big question, how we always end up where we are.
Yeah.
My journey into practicing medicine is I think there are more than just me that end up having this experience, but I ended up having my own experience of illness and being inspired to find solution, or kind of being almost awakened through that experience, and discovered that I wanted to be a doctor. And then I had the experience that many healers will say is said by their teachers, which is some healers have to go through their own dark night of the soul to become a true healer that has the level of empathy that sometimes is required. And I have a history of being diagnosed with an autoimmune condition and using my own medicine to help myself. But the reason why I'm probably here with you tonight is because part of my journey as a human woman has been in learning how to love my body. And that has been the thing that has catapulted any of my experiences that required healing. I would say that new relationship I created with myself changed more than any external modality or natural medicine or allopathic medicine or any particular diet or anything like that. It's really been cultivating this loving relationship with myself, which is also has to do with my body. So sometimes in the healing realm or the personal development circles, even, there's this sometimes statement made that you're not your body. And at the very highest level, we're all spiritual beings having a human experience. But I now dare to say that actually we are our bodies. Our bodies are the reason why we are having any experience at all. And the fact that we can do some of the things we do to our bodies and still make it through our life is that evidence of that higher self. But as consciousness, I think, awakens more, we start to learn that caring for our bodies can create a much different experience of life and of ease in that life too.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that connection.
Yeah.
You and I spoke a little while back, and I think one of the profound things you said to me, and I wrote it down for myself, is this idea of being able to have a connection with our body so that we can almost become our own personal healers. That we talk a lot about our personal development work or our heart work or even our psychological work, but our bodies tend to get left behind and forgotten about. What could you say to speak to the importance of our connection to our bodies, and actually that it's what speaks to us most in our experience? You know, before we hopped on, you said we can't really do anything without our bodies. I mean, they're our vessels. So what helps people connect the dots with the connection and really almost unifying all those things together?
Well, often we don't seek help with our health or our wellness until we're tanked. And that's a lot of what I see as a naturopathic physician and, kind of practitioner of some of these other ancient modalities. I often see people when other systems haven't worked for them. And so their bodies are screaming at them at that point, instead of them coming to me because they just want to optimize something. And the reason that is because we're not taught how to listen to our body signals from early on. It's just not part of our cultural training. It's a rare culture, even globally anymore, that has a connection to where they let their bodies guide their decision making. I know that you're a dating coach, and if I would have listened to my body in my earlier years, I would have been able to prevent. So preventative medicine, I would have been able to prevent a lot of suffering in my life. But I didn't know how. That's the whole point. We don't know until we know. But once we know, and once we start remembering the magnificent instrument that we are residing in, our guidance system changes. Our compass is centered someplace else than before we remember that. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, let's maybe talk about how our body can speak to us.
Sensation. And that takes practice to be able to discern what the sensation means, because our mind will often make an interpretation, and in order to get us through something, instead of really listening to maybe what that sensation is offering us. And in our modern world, we are numb to sensation, because any sensation that's uncomfortable, we want to move away from that as quickly as possible, instead of sitting with that and being curious about where it's wanting us to point our focus. Part of our evolution is in starting to learn and discern these sensations from a different point of view or perspective than one that is just, I don't want that, so I'm going to move away from it or numb it out or ignore it, and kind of enable the story to just be like, oh, that doesn't matter. So we're not really trusting our bodies sometimes because it's not the answer we want to hear either.
Right.
I can think of an experience once where, as the person we were sharing something, and as the person started talking, I had this really intense sensation in my pelvic bowl. And as they kept talking, I could feel it rise in myself up into my heart. And this was several years ago, but also several years into my my awakening that had happened. And so as soon as it reached my throat is when I basically told the person to stop talking, that I wasn't interested in their fear. But I let it had to move up my body, instead of the practice of, if I would have checked in or had the awareness of myself and the practiced awareness of being able to identify something sooner, the amount of words that had come into the space to create fear wouldn't have even reached that.
Right. You would have been able to say something sooner.
I would have been able to say, you know what, thank you. I don't know if I'm interested in your opinion right now. Because it was based in fear. And that was a very profound experience for me, because it happened so fast, which is something we all have to remember. I encourage everyone to remember, is that certain things happen at the speed of light, and our practice in these bodies that have density is to start to just watch these things happen to us and know that we can start practicing, because that awareness for me has allowed me to really be with myself differently and be willing to trust. And so that's another piece. It's like, I can trust my body. It knows before concept arises.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we're creating any kind of relationship. If we were to stay kind of present in our body awareness instead of projecting into our potential,
right,
then we're going to be able to sit in that and go, oh, and our discernment is greatly enhanced that way.
Yeah.
So
that would be hugely beneficial for a number of people in a dating environment,
mm-hmm.
and in relationship as well.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that people could even begin getting into a practice of reflection on certain experiences where they maybe had that physical hit and ignored it,
mm-hmm.
and be able to begin to connect the dots by acknowledging when those things come up, what are they related to in experience for them?
Mm-hmm.
So then you become more attuned to your body. That'd be hugely beneficial. I know women often will get those physical, emotional hits about, danger or discomfort or fear coming into a situation to alert us to something. Mm-hmm. And we oftentimes try to rationalize it away. Mm-hmm. So other than doing the reflection process, what are some other things that people can do to begin honoring your body talking to you?
Well, I think having a daily practice of some sort is extremely important in life in general. I am someone that is a believer in meditation, but my version of meditation doesn't necessarily look like cross-legged sitting on a cushion. It's about being with the stillness of your own breath and noticing. The only way we can practice any of these things is to practice them. And we can use that past reflection, like my story, and I can say, oh, wow, because it was so visceral that my body remembers it also. Yeah. And so I can use that to say, wow, that was fascinating. And now how on a daily basis can I just tune in to even where I notice sensation? I know when I work with women that when they get really honest with me, their symptomology showed up a long time ago before they show up in my space. And I can just share my own story as well, in that I was having all kinds of signals and messaging going on, and I was not listening. I am like probably much of your audience in that I am a very intelligent, driven woman who had success on her mind. And I just kept telling myself, like, I knew it was stress, but I was not listening. And that put me in actually grave danger because I let my mind, we have to very much respect the power of our mind. But we can start to use our consciousness to tell the mind that we're going to start listening to this mind, it's our gut mind and our heart mind. So we have to drop into our bodies, because these minds, these intelligent brains that live further down into us, are more truthful in their guidance. And so a daily practice of even beginning to even connect with that is actually can be very challenging, especially for women. We learn to, like you pointed out earlier, we learn to kind of rationalize experiences in order to be nice or not disruptive.
Yeah.
Or because we see potential, because we have this amazing ability to see potential, and then we're not honoring what's actually truthful in the space at the moment.
Yeah, I've always felt that the body knows before really the rest of us does.
Yeah.
It sends us little signals, and you want to avoid the brick moments if you can.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of a daily practice. I mean, I reflect on even my own, one of my own past relationships where my body was telling me in a myriad of ways that this wasn't a good fit, that I wasn't honoring me, the relationship wasn't honoring me. And it took quite some time for me literally to be flat on my back to realize something's going on here beyond that. I can't rationalize anymore. I'm actually being spoken to in a very loud voice, and it's time to start listening. So tuning ourselves, I think, is so, so valuable.
Well, I'm not the first person to say this, but our body's an instrument. It is a receptacle of vibration, and we're the lens or the filter through which that vibration is traveling, and we have to tune it. We have to fine tune it if we're going to have it be, dare I say, singing. So when we practice being present with ourselves, our body literally becomes not only the vessel that we're able to have this experience in, but it is also the conduit, and it is the instructor of the space too. Think of in the past when you've seen like a very confident person. It's not like you walking down the street. So it's not this like I'm all that kind of like forceful, but it's this confidence that you're like, wow. And that's attractive, right? So that person is actually very comfortable in their own skin. If you notice that, like if someone catches your eye, there is a part of them that is very, very comfortable in their own body, with in the way they dress, or they're just the air about them. And so that's part of our practice is being willing to learn how to be comfortable in ourselves and listen, so that we can be that vibrant expression of life. And when we have my work is in helping people transform illness, if you want to call it that, and this is a huge part of my work, is to help people learn what's right for them, because not everything is right for everybody. And it's very important if we want to have whole health, not just these check boxes or these numbers on laboratories that tell us we're normal. We want to literally feel energized and vibrant and excited to engage our life. And that is on a spectrum, but that I would like to help people reach that versus just the norm. I don't want people to be normal. I would like to help them be extraordinary in their experience. So
absolutely. Now, with that thought and being able to, through the work that you do, but as an individual, what are some things that people can do to, I understand and hear the part and the importance of listening, like developing that relationship with the body to listen. But how else can people begin to nurture their relationship with the body? We talk about the body love connection. Well, when you're loving something, I strongly feel that you're nurturing and honoring that part of yourself or another individual as well. So what are some ways, and even through how you support your clients, that you can start to deepen your relationship and your connection with your body? Because my assumption would be the more that you do that and can develop that relationship, it deepens the level of intimacy, and I would think it allows you to hear your body speak to you more clearly.
Food and water are big ones.
Imagine that.
I mean, the fact that I have to say it is actually an indication of our cultural stance. And even it's now become not it used to be called the standard American diet, but now it's actually just the standard human diet, because of the immensity of our global population and the widespread infusion of Western culture into many other countries. But food is medicine, and food is information, and food is vibration. So if we numb ourselves out with alcohol and sugar and carbohydrates and you name it, everyone, which foods.
I love how you lean in for that.
Well, because, I'm sure everyone hears this who works with others. There's this comment, I know what I should do. I know I should do that, or I know I could do that, but people don't do it.
So what stops them?
They don't want to give up what they want, what they like. They don't want to give up their drugs.
Right.
They don't want, and further than that, then if, we could talk very lightly and superficially about it, but the truth is they don't want to feel the sensation of what would happen if they didn't numb themselves out.
Right. The revealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what happens is if you can break through the initial irritation that you have an idea that it's not easy or that you're deprived, and instead, keep moving into trusting the nature of things. If you eat really high vibrational foods and lots of color and fresh, whole, real food, your body's going to be really happy. My family, maybe some of them might listen on this, I don't know, but they've heard me say it before. They always they don't live like me. They comment that, if you take care of yourself so well and you eat so well, why are you so sensitive?
Oh.
And my comment is because my body does not tolerate. I have given my body the gift of being a clear vessel for me to let me know when something is not okay.
Yeah.
And so if I eat something or drink something, consume something, breathe in something that is not life enhancing, my body's like, hey,
no, thank you.
Please go away from that. And I have to tell you, when I was young and I started playing with this stuff, just kind of intuitively, it's kind of why I'm here now, at the beginning, no one guided me. I just had this intuitive knowing I was following. I did feel weird about that. I would be like, yeah, why am I so sensitive? And now I'm like, we've all heard this before too. Like, my sensitivity is an incredible gift. Like,
sure is.
And I have deep sensitivity, but I would never give it up. It has led me to some of the most extraordinary experiences of appreciation for our life experience as human beings. And if we want more love in our life and our relationships, oh my God, if we just take care of ourselves, it's like,
yeah, it's very liberating. It's just getting to that point.
And also, for anyone in the audience, please trust this, that you work on yourself, and other people around you just change.
Yes.
And it seems like they're changing, but they haven't changed. They're actually responding to you. And when you get really vibrant and clear, at first they might push back and be weird about it, but if they love you and they're in your close life, they have to change. And then, of course, this is the conundrum, is that sometimes when we wake up and start listening and celebrating ourselves, then we're like, wow, I've got to change a lot more than just my food.
Yes.
And then that is the ultimate growth experience as humans, is when we realize if we spiral up in our vibration and the way we nurture and care for ourselves, we want to be around other people that are also doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But we have to honor that too. So the mind is afraid of that. So that is also where our resistance shows up in changing our eating habits, or giving up some of these things that are culturally totally accepted as a way to wind down or celebrate or whatever. And it takes courage to live kind of like a rebel in that way.
And practice. But I love how you coined that you're being a bit of a rebel instead of being, I think a lot of people think, as being a downer. Or that they're missing out somehow. There's some sort of case of FOMO going on. But you actually are rebelling because you're choosing you.
Yes.
You're choosing your own wellness and your well-being.
Yes.
And yeah, you certainly will have the people around you shift in your experience. They'll either stick around and honor you honoring yourself, or you'll see a change in the dynamic in your relationships, which is, I think, probably scary in the beginning, but liberating once you understand what it really means. And I'd love for us to acknowledge that this takes practice.
Yes.
That you will slip. And not make good choices. And what I've learned, even in my own journey with my relationship with food alone, is that when I have slipped, when I've been making the wise choices for myself, when I have slipped, my body's not unlike what you shared earlier. It's like, oh, no. Yeah. Oh, you're not putting, I'm going to remind you very quickly that that's not something you should be enjoying, because it does not serve you well. So that will affect my mood. It will affect, like, I'll feel body pain, I'll feel lethargic, I'll be moody. So other wonderful ways to support ourselves is being clear-headed, not having that brain fog or body pain or things like that. Do you want to speak a little bit more to the benefits?
Well, sure. I mean, you're going to have more energy. We can kind of wrap it up into the full self-care.
Yeah.
In that I'll just mention really briefly. So the food we've been talking about, which is ultimately, remember that you are a vehicle. So sometimes I use the term, do you want to be driving like an old jalopy that's like spitting out smoke, or do you want to drive your brand new BMW or Ferrari? And would you put really crappy gas you siphoned off the street into your Ferrari? I don't think so.
Not wise.
Right. But also hydration. So hydration is water is very, 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 very important.
Why do we struggle with that so much? Why is water so darn hard?
I've heard anything between it's boring. To I forget, which is another example of not listening. It's why I have my tea, because having this conversation with you, my nervous system, of course, is like a little amped because I'm having this conversation, and I'm a normal human being, and there's all these people could be watching. I don't know. And so I can tell like that I'm thirsty. I tell my patients that if you are thirsty, you're already dehydrated. So I'm dehydrated. I did not drink enough water today, apparently. But it's also sometimes people, it can be a training thing too. I see a lot of people who literally tell me, I don't have time to drink water.
Wow.
Nurses, teachers. Any of you out there that are nurses or teachers, bless you. And figure out how to drink water.
Drink your water.
Because if you're a human being, you're not a machine. And if your boss or your administrator or whatever is going to tell you that you can't take a break to drink water and go pee, then you really should be a rebel there and dare them to fire you. I mean, come on. But I've had to tell people that.
Amazing.
I mean, seriously, Andrea, it is cultural, and it's become, this is the part that has become culturally acceptable, which, how did we get here? Which is, we don't listen to the very basic function of our human structure. It actually makes me really pissed and really sad at the same time that we have just decided that this is okay. And we wonder why. There's more sick people than ever. There's more, it's just, I mean, that's a whole other soapbox I could go on, but please drink water. Set an alarm if you have to. At first, you're going to have to use the bathroom a lot more, because I always use this analogy, like think of a plant that's dried out. If you pour the water in, it all goes out the bottom. But once that soil is saturated, you could pour the same amount of water and it won't sink through the bottom.
Right. That makes total sense.
Our bodies are like that. We are an earth. Like our bodies.
We are water.
Yeah, and we're water. We know, research tells us we're 75% water. So you want less wrinkles?
Drink more water. I love it.
And if you're eating lots of fruits and vegetables, there's some water too. So another reason to eat your fruits and vegetables. Once you get past age 40, then you're like anti-aging. It's like, well, eat really good, drink lots of water, and take naps.
Yeah, you'll save millions on skincare.
You really will.
You really will.
Yeah.
Well, what I love is what I have sort of speaking to me in the background is like, this is literally keeping your cup full to running over. And
yeah.
I hear what you're saying, that it makes me sad that it's, two professions that are so, they hold such important roles in taking care of other people. So if anyone should have huge amounts of self-care for themselves, to be able to care for others, are individuals such as that. But that rule goes for all of us.
Yes.
So
yes.
the body-love connection, we need to be nourishing and taking care of ourselves so we can show up in the world and in relationship in a way where we can be fully present and contributing because we've been taking care of ourselves. It's not anyone else's job, although you do go to Rachel for help.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for saying that, because what I want to point out is that there's also a little strange misinterpretation around this idea that you are your own healer. Yes, you are. And yet you have blind spots. You have habits. You have ways that you can't see because otherwise you would already be doing it. And we all have that. We all need support to see what we can't see. And so if people want a partnership in that, like in their healing work, or someone to help them, that is the kind of physician that I am. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to offer you suggestions and provide you with perspective, and then ask you to start practicing that. And I get to point out what I see. I listen to people's words, and it's astonishing what people say, and they're not actually listening to what they're saying, and that all the information is there. And if we start listening to how we actually talk about some of our stuff, that would be another really good thing to listen to what we actually say. Yes. Yeah. So the other piece is the rest piece. We also have all heard that statement, you can sleep when you're dead. Well, get lack of sleep and you'll be dead sooner than you'd like. So if you don't want to sleep, that's fine, but
There are repercussions.
There, and what's that saying? Hindsight is 20/20 or something strange like that. We can't know until we're willing to reflect on when we didn't know.
Yeah,
and that is almost the human tragedy, but it's part of our process, and we age and gain wisdom, but we can't capture back some of the ways our body tolerated more when we were young.
Yes, very forgiving when we're young.
Yes.
Very forgiving.
Yes.
So the toleration of maybe some of the choices that we've had as we mature change. I mean, I know for myself personally, I went to a naturopath and because Western medicine couldn't figure out what was wrong. And it wasn't until I went to a naturopathic doctor that he was able to tell me very quickly what had changed within me. So our bodies evolve and change as well, or lose tolerations of things. At least that was my experience. And I had to be really committed to having a lifestyle change in order to support myself. So there is, I mean, I love the relation between, it's all relationship with our inner self, relationship with our body, relationship with others, that you really have to have a level of commitment and self-responsibility in order to make that shift. Because I had habitually been eating the same thing for so long that I remember my first trip to the grocery store, I was in there for hours.
Yeah.
I had to read things and double check. And now I'm like a grocery store loyalist because I know where the good for Andrea stuff is. And now it's useful to go in. But that's a level of commitment. So that's where that love comes in again. Do you find for a lot of people it's a commitment issue or a mindset issue in helping develop that relationship with our bodies and making shifts in habit?
I think it's both. I have this understanding that 99% commitment is hell. 100% is easy. Easy.
To that more.
Well, we can give ourselves 1%, and then we're constantly on that line. So 99% gives us 1% room to make a decision in every decision.
Right.
So it's hell because it's exhausting. It means I have to decide. I have to battle myself. Am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? Is this the right? Am I going to do it today or not today? Am I going to do it at that party? Not at that party? What am I going to do? Right? Crazy. It's incredibly frustrating because then that 1%, we have to remember 1% is enough to knock something off balance.
Well, and then I would think there's that room for falling off that edge into not making a decision that necessarily honors you. And that's when you fall into the potential of shame or blame and undermining yourself.
Well, right, because we're battling with the animal mind in those situations, and that animal mind that convinces us this is the time to stick with our old habits, be out of convenience or not wanting to disrupt the situation. It's the same, that is the same mind, the same version of us that is also extremely self-deprecating. It's the one that says, why did we do that? It's the one that eats the cake, and literally after you eat the cake, why did we do that? Literally, that's it. We have to befriend that animal. Yes, we have to befriend that animal. 100% commitment is, I'm all in. I've been gluten-free for 15 years. When I made that decision, it was back when there wasn't all these choices, to even substitute things. When I made a decision, I made a decision. It then became there was no other choice. When I traveled, I had to figure something out. When I went to parties, I said no, thank you. There are some choices that are literally that simple, but we have to be willing to see its value. Mm-hmm. It's all about our perceived value. And so this practice of listening to our body, we'll start to see the value. But until we start practicing, or until we become committed to our vitality, our full self, we have a lot of room that will question the value.
Well, and our value.
Right.
I would think as well. The choice would be easier if we have clarity around our own value.
Yes. And this is the love piece.
Mm-hmm.
The love that I speak of when I speak to people, the love that I know in myself is not human love. It is the love, the big love. So I recently I wrote about this. It came out quite profoundly in a conversation similar to this one. And the question is, many of you may have heard this also before, but the question is, what would love do now?
Mm-hmm. I love that question.
Love would feed us.
Yeah.
Beautiful, fresh, vibrant food to nourish our tissues, to give our bodies natural energy. Love would snuggle up and take a nap if you're feeling like you're getting sick. Love would say no, thank you, but thank you. Love would stand and be in presence and really feel into life enhancement before making a choice. That's what love would do. Love would say, I appreciate you, and this isn't working out for me.
Yeah, I love that.
It's become, it's something that in this past week has become incredibly profound, even for someone like me who's been practicing this for a long time. And this is the practice, because guess what? We can always upgrade. Yeah. And I'm someone that walks my talk, but I am also a human being. And so I have those moments too of deciding to maybe indulge in something and then saying, wow, okay, clarity, that really does not work for me. And whereas my younger self would have tortured herself for a little bit, now I just get up and I just say, you know what, today's a new day. Or even I'll say, my next meal, that's my next start. I get to choose again. And that is the value of this practice of loving ourselves and beginning to bear witness to again, this instrument that is guiding our path. Because forgiveness is a part of it as well.
Love is compassion and acceptance and understanding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not black and white.
No. And evolution takes time. We have to be patient. We have to be more patient with ourselves.
Well, and there's no such thing as perfection either.
No.
So I think we need to be kinder and easier on ourselves as well.
And we have to get honest. I think that's...
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
The honesty is incredibly important. And that takes courage as well.
Yeah. But being honest with yourself is another origin of love. I love that. Can you think how much easier it would be, at least in thinking this thought for myself, of prefacing everything that you did, especially like if you were going to have a beverage, or you're deciding what you're going to have for dinner that night, or when you're going to bed, or what you're doing with your day is what would love do? What serves you? What would love do? I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. And some people need to redefine love for themselves too.
Well, let's hear from you what body love is. What's body love to you? What does that mean? What does body love mean to you?
Well, again, it's the caring for myself. It's the in all of the ways that I can. You asked about practices, and another practice that has become I often recommend and has become a foundation of my own experience is that I really have a deep appreciation. I let myself be amazed by my body. I'm amazed at what this does without us thinking about it. So I have a practice of being completely in awe of the universe that lives within this vessel. It's really, if you let yourself start, even if you don't know about quantum physics, or I don't expect everyone to understand the workings of the body like I do, and maybe that's part of what I'm here to share is, as someone who has studied the body and what's going on inside of us, is like, holy cow, like, really, honestly, let your mind be blown, because it's extraordinary what happens without us even having to think about it. And that to me is like, oh, wow. So this practice of being amazed, but like whenever I bathe or dress, I love taking baths and shower, because I literally I commune with myself.
Mm.
I really, and I will be honest, I have days, I have a history of body dysmorphia. I have a history of hating my body when I was younger, always feeling like I was overweight. I mean, I have experienced a lot of things that are very common and similar with many women in our culture. No one could ever understand, because they would look at me and they'd be like, what are you talking about? But I didn't see myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I decided to really see myself that it healed all of that.
Beautiful.
Everyone's on their own path to that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I could sprinkle, if I could tap my magic wand and give that gift to every woman on the planet, we'd all rise up, believe me. Because
yeah, of course. I mean, I think a lot of the time when it's even with like a good friend, mm-hmm. you spend so much time with them, you begin to take the little things mm-hmm. for granted. Mm-hmm. So if you think of our body as this thing that we're developing a level of intimacy with, for me, as I'm listening to you, just start with the little things, like mm-hmm. gratitude for being able to get up in the morning. Mm-hmm. And I remember sitting beside my grandmother, who turns 97 very soon.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And sitting beside her and looking at her feet and saying, Nana, look what those feet have done for you.
Yes.
How far they've taken you, the things that they've done, mm-hmm. The fabulous shoes they've worn, mm-hmm. the dancing, the strolling, the different places in the world, how they've lifted you up every day. Mm-hmm. I mean, just something so simple and small to make such, I think, can expand our level of appreciation, just mm-hmm. having gratitude for the little things and not waiting until, heaven forbid, something like that is taken away for us to have that a level of appreciation. That, to me, yeah. Gratitude is an extension of love.
Yeah, and I like to use the practice of complimenting, too. Mm. So we can compliment ourselves. And it's always trying to find one thing that you can appreciate about your body. If there's a lot of body judgment going on, this can be like this could be one of the most challenging things someone will ever do. Yeah. I do not underestimate the power of the interpretive mind around this, because it's powerful, the judgments that are present. And so it's literally finding something that's pretty neutral. Like your nose, if you have a little nose, like I have a little nose. So when I started, I actually was like, I kind of like my nose. It's little. But it became your hands. If you're an artist, it's like, I'm so grateful for my hands. They look at what they make, you know? And like you with your grandmother's feet, it's, we have to start somewhere. We all, as adults, we've been trained to think that once you're an adult, you should know how to do everything. We would never expect. And the parts of us that are not engaged in this way, they're just small children that need to be taught how to see the world through that lens, through the lens of love. And so we have to be patient with those parts of ourselves that are immature and underdeveloped. And it's a daily practice. Can be literally when I'm in the shower, when I bathe, I'm going to just be present, more present than I'm used to. Or when I brush my teeth, I'm going to be grateful that I have healthy teeth, or any number of things. I tell people to start when you wake in the morning, just lay your hands on yourself and just notice, even for a couple breaths, your own self before you start your day. So it can be very simple. It doesn't have to become this huge, like, we make everything also like, oh, I should just be able to do it and do it all. And it's unrealistic sometimes, the pressures we put on ourselves to change.
Start small for sure. And appreciation is a wonderful place to begin with that.
Yeah.
We're coming to the end of our conversation, if you can believe it already. And I know we've had some people popping in and out. If any of you have any questions for Dr. Rachel before we wrap up tonight, please go ahead and pop them in the comments and we'll be sure to address those. Jenny says, bless yourself. Yes, daily, throughout the day. Bless yourself. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Now, I like to wrap up each Love Talks with a few questions for my guest, and I'm always delighted and surprised sometimes by people's answers. So my first question for you, Rachel, is to share with us 3 things right now that you're most grateful for. We've just touched on the power of gratitude, so I'd love for you to share yours.
Well, I will say I'm very grateful for my health right now, even though, like you mentioned in your thread, I've had a lot of stress, and I can tell that I'm fighting off a little something also. So I also took a nap this afternoon, little power 20 minutes. But in this time, I am very grateful for my health right now, because I have had experiences in my life where it was not present. So I'm very happy about my vibrancy these days. My other place of deep appreciation is actually in my relationships. I have much fewer relationships than I've had in my past, but they're deeper and more real and honest. And those that are closest to me are also committed to no longer running away, but for all of us growing together. So I'm extremely grateful for the few very solid, grounded people in my life. And I love what I get to do for a living. I love that I get to share new perspectives with people. I love seeing light bulbs go off. I love seeing tears of truth roll down people's faces when they really realize that they truly can care for themselves differently. I'm in my dharma, so I am appreciative for however I got here. And I've worked really hard to get here also. So I am practicing these days being proud of myself, because that has not always been a practice either.
Wonderful.
So
thank you. Yes. I'm sure there's lots of people that are grateful for you as well, myself included.
Me too. I'm grateful for you.
With your own journey and all that you know, and in your own practice, what is your greatest truth right now?
If we all decided to lay down our swords of blame and we started taking really radical personal responsibility for our own well-being and our own sphere of influence, I genuinely know it would change a lot of things. So it's this radical personal responsibility, grounded, of course, in what we've been talking about, which is ultimately love.
Yeah. Well, seeing love has been leading the charge, I'd love to hear what your definition of love is.
Wow, that's actually kind of a challenging question. For me, it's, I think I'm going to do the best I can right now, because it's, like I said, it's a very large, it's infinity for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it really is this, it's about no longer turning away from yourself. It's like self-compassion, self-forgiveness, starting with self. It's this, how can I be all of the things that I would like to see in the world with myself first? I don't know how to describe it. But that, to me, love is the field of infinite possibility and radical free choice. And literally infinite possibility. We can heal and change if we want to. It's all about our perspective. I don't know if that's a very good answer to that question, but
it's perfect. It's a perfect answer.
How do you describe infinity? I don't know. How do you describe source energy that is the thing of all things that exists in all time, space, and realities? I don't know. That's kind of my definition.
Well, there, you just offered several. But I love that. What I heard through your sharing of what it means to you, or what your definition of it is, that I think is really powerful, is that we lead in love. We lead in love for ourselves and our ability to be able to do that for others. And when we can begin to start doing that, loving our bodies with all the wonderful things that you have shared with us tonight, all we do is deepen that connection with love, and we are love, and love within ourselves as well. So,
at our core, the core of our core is love.
Yes. At
the core of everything in nature, it's all there right in front of us. Like, it's everywhere. In everything, and even in the dark, it's there. It's
not something we have to find. That's what I love.
Yes.
It already exists. It's in us.
Yeah. Yes.
Amazing. Amazing. Rachel, thank you so much for being on tonight and sharing your wisdom.
Thanks for the invite.
everyone popping on, and one in 1,000 names, but who remains nameless is what Jenny says about love. And Jill's popped on and said, catching the end, and we'll watch from the beginning later. Yes, the replay will stay up on the event page. We're going to go a little over here because I want Rachel to share what she's up to, and we will be sharing on the event page how you can get in touch with her if you have body love connections that you're wanting to make, and have her assist you in making those connections and choosing you and your well-being. We want to make sure you have access to her. Do you have anything coming up that you want to share with us at all, Rachel? Or
well, I'm actually in the process of redoing my website. So if you go to my website, then you're going to find a little landing page, but you can always message me. And I'm actually very excited about kind of updating that and having people be able to resource me through there.
Amazing. So
that is coming, but if you go there, you can contact me, but there's not any other information as of yet. It's actually 10 months away, but I hold a annual women's retreat in Mexico. That's coming up February of 2019. That's my most official scheduled retreat, but I'm in constant creation mode right now around how people can work with me, and I do virtual stuff. I see people obviously here in Portland in person, so if you're local, would love to chat. And but I'm with this beautiful technology we have, I'm available globally. I do a lot of private coaching that way too.
Amazing. We'll make sure we link everything up for everybody. Okay. So you know how to get access to Rachel. I want to thank everyone that watched tonight, and a big thank you to any of you that tune in after. As I mentioned, the replay will stay up on the event page, and I will be linking this up to my YouTube channel as well, so you can always watch it there too. Thanks everyone, and Rachel, thank you so much again for being on tonight. And I think I need to go have a smoothie.
Yes. And take a bath, go to bed early.
You got to start somewhere. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.